Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to our little workshop today. I'm glad to have you guys here. And kind of the game plan and the reason why we're doing this. Obviously, if you're here, then it means you've either read the .com Secrets book, which I hope you guys all have, or if not, you watched the 3-hour webinar ahead of time that goes over very similar content to this. This goes into a little more detail, and there's even more cool stuff in here. But the webinar also kind of gives you a really broad overview of everything. And one thing that I've been doing this business now for over a decade, and it's kind of interesting. Like the one thing that I get all the time when I share these things with people is like, this is really cool, but how does this actually work or fit in my business? And so that's what this workshop's about. The goal of it is not to reteach the book or reteach what you guys learned on the webinar, but it's to take the concepts and the core information and help you to see exactly how this fits for your business and your business and your business. So that way you can take this stuff and execute on it. One of my early mentors, his name is Dan Kennedy, and first time I went to his event, he had this big, huge poster on the wall that was like as big as this room, and it said, this doesn't work in my business. And I was so confused when I first saw the poster. And then his first presentation of the day, he got up and talked about how every time he teaches this marketing stuff, that people always say, well, that's cool, but it doesn't work for my business. And the reality is it does. It works for any kind of business. You just have to kind of think about it and figure out how to tweak it and make it work for your situation. And so that's kind of the goal of this workshop, is to do that, is kind of take your guys' businesses, these concepts, and kind of blend them together and show you guys how they're going to work. And so what we have here, you guys should all have this. This is called the .com Secrets Blueprint. And this is kind of what we're going to be going through today. And at the end of this should be all completely filled out. And this is going to be your guys' blueprint. It's going to be taking everything that's inside the book. And inside the book, I had to cover a lot of things. So I needed you guys to see a broad overview of everything, right? But then for each of your companies, you're not going to be doing everything. Okay? You're not going to be using all 7 different sales funnels and all this and that. Like, it's just not going to happen. Maybe in the future you'll get to that point, but for today we got to figure out like what's the one sales funnel you're going to use. What's the first one we need to be focusing on? What's the process? What's it going to look like? And so that's what kind of game plan is going to be. So it's going to be fun. We're going through this and filling it out as we go through each session. And at the end of it, you should have a blueprint or a roadmap that's going to take you exactly where you need to go, which would be kind of cool. So for those of you guys who don't know who I am, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but I got started in this business. It's been over 12 years now that I got started. And when I got started, I wasn't trying to be a business guru or anything. My goal wasn't to that. My goal was, honestly, I wanted to make some money. I was wrestling at Boise State University. My wife and I had just gotten married. She was making a whopping $9.50 an hour. I was making $0 an hour as a wrestler. And we couldn't even afford our $400 a month apartment payment. And so I was like, I either have to quit wrestling and go figure out, and go get a job, or I got to figure out some other way to make money. And I wasn't going to quit wrestling. That was like my main goal in life. So I wasn't going to quit that. So I had to figure out something else. I jumped online and started trying to sell stuff. I was going to like Deseret Industry and Savers and buying garbage and then taking it home and taking pictures of it, selling on eBay. I can't even tell you how many things I tried to make money, like literally everything. And some things kind of worked and some things didn't work at all. And eventually I started learning more about like information marketing and about creating products and things like that. And in fact, one of my very first products I ever created, some of you guys may have seen this before, it's called How to Make a Potato Gun. And this was like my the first product I ever created from my mind, and we created it, put it out there. And the story's kind of funny. It was spring break, and spring break happens right at the very end of wrestling season. So all the wrestlers, all my buddies, they basically, spring break happened and they headed off to Vegas to go gamble and have a big party. And I had just gotten married, and my wife wasn't going to let me go party while she was working and supporting me. And one of my buddies, same thing, he was also married, his wife wouldn't let him go. And so me and him were sitting at home for a week, bored out of our minds while our wives were working. And as any good college kids do, we're like, what should we do? Like, hey, we should make a potato gun. And that started this whole crazy thing, and we spent the next week going to Home Depot and buying pipes and gluing them together and going online trying to figure out plans. And we literally spent a whole week building all these potato guns and having a ton of fun with it. And I remember the next Monday I went back to school, and at the time I was learning about marketing online and how it worked. And I was learning about back then there was a website called Overture where you could type in a keyword and it showed you how many searches each month were happening. And I was like, I wonder if anyone else besides me this weekend was looking for potato gun stuff. I typed it in, there was like 18,000 people a month searching for potato gun stuff, and there were no products out there. And I was like, light bulb, I'm gonna go create a product. And so we went, I called my buddy back up and I'm like, hey, I'll pay you $100 if you'll let me film us making this potato gun. He was like, I'll just do it for free, man. I'm like, no, I'll pay you $100. And so we went and we got this little like handy cam, and we went and actually went to Home Depot and bought the product and glued it all together, and ended up creating this DVD, and this became one of my first products I ever sold. So it's kind of a fun story. And again, I wasn't trying to be good at marketing. I was trying to make some money. And so this became the first product. And I started creating more products and different information products and software products, just making these little things and putting them out there. And back then, 10 years ago, when I was doing this, it was interesting because the landscape was way different than it is today, right? Today you've got Facebook and you've got YouTube and all these cool ways to drive traffic. Nowadays it's way easier to drive traffic. But back then there was no competition. So that was one nice thing, is that the one or two ways we had to drive traffic, like Google, I was the only person selling potato gun plans. Like, there was not many people doing things, and so it was really, really easy. So most of our sales processes were completely basic. Like, we had, like for our potato gun DVD, there was a sales letter that just said, hey, you want to learn how to shoot potato guns? Here's a DVD. It's $37. That was basically it, with an order button, and people would buy it, and it worked. And we drive traffic. I'd spend $1 in advertising, and I'd make $2 or $3 back, and it was easy. That's all we did. It was so cool. But then as the internet started evolving, people like me kept talking about how cool this was, how much money we were making, and everyone else was like, well, I can do that. And 10 years later, there's millions of people all now competing in every market that you're in. And so these old websites that we had, where we would just have a website, and we'd spend $1 in advertising, we make $2 or $3 back. Because all of a sudden now there were 10 or 20 or 100 people selling the same thing, we'd go and we'd spend $1 in advertising, and we'd lose $3. And all of a sudden, it became very unprofitable. And so for a lot of you guys, especially if you're coming on the scene right now and you're stepping into the online marketing world, that's the landscape you just stepped into. You didn't have it easy like I had it, where I just had to throw up a sales page and I would make it work. And so for us, it's been 10 years of trying to figure out, well, how do I become profitable again? I can't keep spending $1 and losing $3 very long before I'm broke. And so we started just testing and trying things and all sorts of things. And I remember one day, one of my friends called me up, and he was like, hey, Russell, we just added this thing to our sales letter. We had our sales letter. Now somebody bought on the next page. We put this page. It was like, hey, do you want to buy some more stuff? And he said, I call this a special one-time offer. And he said I started doing this, and he said 20 to 30% of the people who bought my first thing started buying the upsell. And I was like, are you kidding me? That's a big deal. And so I went back, and this is at the very beginning of it. It was funny because we'd have like back then, you'd come to the sales page, you fill out your credit card information, then go to the next page, and it's like, hey, you want the special upsell? Put in your credit card information again. They'd refill. It was like a horrible, clunky process. They'd re-put in the credit card information. But even with that, all of a sudden we were getting 20 to 30% of people to buy these upsells. So I made an upsell for my potato gun product, and then some of my software products, and all the things I had to add these upsells. And as you'll kind of see when we kind of go through this a little deeper, usually the upsell is more expensive than the front-end product. And so because my upsells are typically about 3 times as expensive as my first thing, and because a third of the people were buying it, it doubled my income, boom, overnight. And so these ad campaigns where I'd spend $1 and I'd break even or I'd lose some money, but adding this little upsell all of a sudden became profitable. And I was like, this is it, we're back in business again, we can do this again. So we started doing that, but then again, other people started learning about it, and more upset, other people started doing it, and all of a sudden we stopped, the balance went back the other way, where we're spending money and we're losing money. And so we had to figure out new ways, well, we have an upsell, what if we added a downsell? Or what if we added an exit pop? Or what if we built an email sequence where we resold these people, and we kept tweaking this process and adding more things and testing things. And it's been 10 years of that for me. I've become obsessed with it. You can ask my wife, it drives her crazy. We go anywhere and it's all I can talk about, all I can think about. And we'll be in our rooms laying in bed, and I got a pad of paper, I'm mapping out, what if we did this? And it's just, it's ridiculous at this point, but it's so much fun for me. And so that's what's kind of cool is this book. The reason why I'm so proud of it is it's 10 years of my testing and tweaking and trying and me gambling my own money. There's so many marketing experts out there that drive me crazy because they spout off theory and they've heard this and they talk about this. This book, everything in this book I earned with my own money, gambling my own money every single day. And I've lost literally millions and millions of dollars by bad bets, bad gambles. And I've learned a lot. We made millions of dollars the other way. And so this is why I love this book so much, is because it's like my heart and soul. It's everything that we've learned, put in a format that gives you guys a blueprint that you can follow and kind of skip 10 years worth of trial and error and just be able to start where we're at now and kind of run with it. So that's kind of what this book is about. That's what all these funnels and all this stuff we're going to be talking about, kind of where it comes from. But I want to kind of lay that groundwork so you guys understand what we're doing and kind of where we're at. So again, today the presentation, this workshop, I called it the .com Seekers Blueprint because I feel like that's what it is. You guys have the book's kind of like the playbook. Here's the playbook. Here's all the stuff we can do. And now it's your job to kind of build a blueprint for your specific business. How do all these concepts, all these things, how does it fit for you? So that's what we're going to kind of go through. And so there's going to be a lot of things we talk about that are similar to the book or to the webinar, but I'm not covering everything. I'm covering just people always ask me, like, what's the shortest path to cash? Like, if I'm getting started right now, what are the steps to get me making money the quickest? And so that's kind of the goal of this is to build out a blueprint for you guys of the shortest path possible to go from where I'm at to where I want to be. And then in the future, you guys can add some of these other things and all the other stuff. But I really want to identify that for you guys so that when you leave here, you're not more confused. You're not trying to figure out like what kind of funnel do I build and whatever. I want you guys knowing exactly what it is. I want you to have perfect certainty so you can go home and execute on the stuff. So that's kind of the game plan. All right, so the first thing that we talked about in the book and also in the webinar, if you had a chance to watch it, is what I call the secret formula. And if you look at my entire business or this entire book, this kind of sums up what the entire thing is about. And it's funny because when you look at it, it's pretty simple. Like, I try to make it as simple as possible. That's really the goal of business. And it took me a long time to kind of figure that out. And so the secret formula, the first step in this is we got to figure out who's the person that you guys want to serve? Who's the person that you feel like you can change their life the most? When I started my business, I never asked that question. I wish I would have. I ran for 4, 5, 6 years in a direction trying to sell stuff and never thought about that concept even once. And because of that, I started attracting customers that I didn't like. They were hard to work with, and it was a very painful process. Some days I'd wake up and I was just sick to my stomach. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate to that. Some of you guys have customers or clients who you wake up and you're like, why in the world do I have to go and help this person today? They're not going to listen to me. They're going to be a nightmare to work with. And I thought I really thought, like, if you want to make money, you just got to deal with it. You got to get thick skin and you got to kind of just give into that and work with anybody. And it wasn't until about 2 years ago for us that I remember waking up and I was so frustrated because I knew I didn't want to go to work. I had coaching calls and things I needed to do, and I lost the fire completely. And which is a scary point for me. I'm like, if I ever lose this, and that's never a good thing. Like, you got to be passionate about what you're doing. And I lost that fire. I remember laying there in bed thinking, like, I've got to change something. And about that time, it was actually over Christmas time, Tony Robbins and his wife Sage put out this video, and I still remember vividly. He was sitting in Fiji, and he got there and he said, it's a new year. He's like, obviously we can change anytime we want, but the new year gives us this opportunity where we can stand up and like make change. He said, so right now I want you guys to look at yourselves. He says, if you're not happy in your relationship, change it. If you're not happy in your business, change it. If you're not happy with whatever it is in your life, with your fitness or your weight loss, whatever it is, like, if you're not happy with something in life right now, I'm giving you permission just to change it. I remember thinking that, like, I can make that change. I can just change it. I'm just going to do that. And so I said, how do I create my business in a way where the only people I'm dealing with every day are people that are awesome, that I want to hang out with, people that I would literally, if they invited me to go to lunch with them, I'd be excited to go and not like, oh man, I got to go to lunch with these guys, right? And so it started out to this is like, I really had to identify who that person was. And I don't think most of us think about it. Like, who is your dream customer? Who's the person that you would hang out with them because you like them, even if you didn't get paid for it? Okay, and if you don't know who that person is, it's hard then to be able to get them, right? So we need to know who that person is. I'm going to walk you through a process I went through to really identify who that person was here in a second. But that's the first step. Who is that person? Now, after we know who that person is, then we have the chance to go and find out where those people are at. Okay? And again, if you don't know the who, you can never find the where. And so that's why it's so important to know the who. So now I know the who, now I got to find out where are those people at. And the coolest thing about the internet, the reason I love the internet is because it's given a chance for people like me and you who don't have Walmart or Amazon budgets to be successful. Because the internet is cool because, as you see here in this picture, there's a whole bunch of fish in one spot, right? The internet has this really unique ability to categorize people together, right? I was thinking about back about when I was a wrestler at Boise State. And one of the things that all of us had mandatory study hall every night after practice. And because most of us wrestlers weren't very smart and they didn't want us all to fill out. And so all of us, we go to wrestling practice, eat dinner, and then all of us had to go to the mandatory 2 hours of study hall every night. And one day I remember sitting there in study hall and I was on the computer and I had one tab with my homework and the other tab was on themat.com, which is the biggest wrestling website in the world. And I was in the forums talking and chatting and having some fun and commenting on people's things and all these things. And all of a sudden I looked up and I remember looking around seeing all the other wrestlers because I was sitting in the back and looking at everyone else's computer. And I would say probably 90% of the other wrestlers were all on themat.com at the exact same time. And I was like, how interesting, like, all of us are on the exact, we're all congregated on the same spot. And I was thinking, like, I bet if you went to every college in America and you looked at the wrestlers in study hall, I bet they're all on the exact same website as well. And if you go to mat.com, you see there's like 50, 60, 70,000 wrestlers who all congregate there every single day. So if I knew that my who was wrestlers, where are these guys congregating at? Where are they hanging out at? Okay, it's not that hard to find them. They're all in one spot. And that happens in every business, every market you guys can think about. I don't care what business you're in. Right now, your dream clients are congregating together somewhere. You may not know where it is yet, but you got to find it, because when you can find it, then there they are. You know, like, it's an isolated spot. Now you just got to go and grab those people out and figure out ways to get them out. So that's kind of the next step. Then the third thing there is, after you've figured out where these people are at, how do I get those people in, right? This is like, it's bait. Like, what's the bait I'm going to create to get my dream client to come to me? Okay? And so 2 years ago when we were doing this, I was thinking, like, what do I have that's going to get my dream client to come to me? Okay? And we created a bunch of different products and services, and I'll show you my .com Secrets Lab book here in a little bit. But we created this book that basically it was called .com Secrets Labs: 108 Proven Split Test Winners. And it was just a whole bunch of, it's a beautiful book. It's like 140 pages, all of our different split tests that we've been running over the last like 4 or 5 years. We put this book together, and initially I was going to sell it for a whole bunch of money, but I decided, you know what? I'm going to use this as bait. And I was thinking about it, like, if you look at the title of the book, like 108 Proven Split Test Winners, my old client, the ones who their goal was to get rich on the internet, if they saw that, they'd be like, I don't know what that means. What's a split test? Why would I even care? And literally my offer, my bait, would repel the people I don't want to do, right? I'm not a fisherman, but I'm guessing that if you're going fishing and you know you want trout versus salmon, there's probably different bait you use that trout are going to bite and salmon aren't going to, I'm guessing. I don't know. But that's how it worked here. And so I knew that book, like, the people I don't want to work with are going to be repelled by it. They're just going to bounce off and not even notice it. But my dream clients, people who have a business, who are already making money, who are doing the kind of things I want, the kind of people that I want to sell $25,000, $100,000 coaching packages to and more, when they see that book, it's going to be like the most amazing thing in the world. They're going to be so excited. And so I said, you know what? This is the bait that will attract the who that I want. And so we put that out there, and this became bait. And over the last year, we've given away over 10,000 copies of that book, which has brought in insane amounts of amazing business owners, people like you guys, into my world. And so then after I got the bait that pulls people out, then the last thing to figure out, one of the mistakes I think most of us make in business is that we're so focused on, like, what's the product I sell, okay? And I don't care what business you're in, if you're in e-commerce or if you're in coaching or if you're in whatever you're in, like, the product's not, they're different products. The product's not a business, okay? If you guys watch Shark Tank, Mark Cuban always says that. He's like, you got a great product, you don't have a business, okay? For me, like, what a business is not like what can I sell my end client. The end business, the end thing is like, what's the result I can get for them? How can I serve these people at the highest level? Okay, and if your thought process is, how can I serve these people at the highest level? How can I change their lives? How can I blow their minds? And if the goal is the end result, that's when the magic starts happening. That's when all this other stuff we're talking about with sales funnel, you build things that get people to want to ascend up to you to get the end result you want to give for them. Okay, and so that's the secret formula, okay? And when you go through the .com Secrets book, you'll notice I'm talking about a lot of this, like, who is the person you're going after? Where are these people congregating? What's the bait that we're going to create to get those people in? And after you've got them in, what are the funnels we're going to use to send these people up? Okay, and that's kind of the game plan. It's kind of cool. Last week, our sales guys signed up our top level program right now is $1 million program. Someone pays us $100,000 down and 10% of their income until I've been paid $1 million. And so for me, it's like that's the top of my mountain. That's where I want. Like, if I can bring people there, that's ideal, because first off, I can serve these guys at a different level. Like, literally, they're coming to me, I'm building out everything, I'm writing the copy, I'm building everything for them, and it's a really, really cool process. And I can give them a result better than anything else I could do in the world. And in exchange for that, they're paying me a lot of money. I'll make $1 million from this one deal because my goal is the results. What's the result I can get for this person? Okay? And so, like I said, when you go through this process, and we'll talk a lot about this today, the goal is to ascend people up. You're going to have funnels that start down here to give people little results, which should make them want to get bigger results, and they'll get them to kind of ascend up. And so that's kind of the secret formula. That's the whole concept here with the book, with this training, is understanding business this way, as opposed to, people come to me all the time, hey, I'm in a network marketing program, I want to sell this. Like, okay, that's like a sliver of it, but you're missing everything else. You're missing who you're trying to serve, where are these people at, how can you get those people, what's the bait you can use to attract them, and then where else do you want to take them? There's so much more you can do than just that one thing. And so that's kind of the secret formula. Now, I want to spend 1 minute on the who real quick, because I think this is important enough that I want to emphasize again. I talked about it in the book, I talked about it in the webinar, but for me, when I was kind of redesigning our business and thinking about who my dream client was, I tried to make it very tangible. I think about like, who is this person? Like, what do they look like? And so I remember I sat down one day, and I wanted a female version of my dream client and a male version of my dream client. I wanted to kind of see what the both of them look like. And so I sat down, and I remember I typed in a name. I was like, my dream client, her name's gonna be something like Julie. So I wrote down Julie, and I said, now what qualities does she have? Okay, well, I want to work with people that are successful and driven. Like, if they're not like already successful, don't want to work with them. Because people that are successful in one aspect of life, usually they can become successful in a lot of other aspects in life. They don't have to be successful in business, but they have to be successful in something, okay? That's the first thing. Second thing is, I like working with people that feel like their business isn't just like I have a business, but like they're passionate about it. They feel like they've got a message that can change the world. Okay, so I wanted to work with people that's what they feel. It's not just like I'm trying to make a quick buck, but what's more important to them is getting their message out and serving people. Okay, that's the kind of person I want. I wanted someone who values her personal growth over money, and I want someone who already has a business that's happening. Okay, I want someone who's already gone through all the beginner stuff, and even if they're not making a lot of money, but has something kind of up and running. And so that was kind of my criteria. So I remember I went to Google Images, and I typed in Julie, I typed in successful, I typed in a couple of these keywords there, and I clicked submit, and all of a sudden all these images came up, all these random people. There's some weird looking people, there's like some Walmart type people, and then all of a sudden this picture popped up, and I was like, boom, that's her. That's the person I want to work with. And so I grabbed that picture out, and that became my customer avatar, was Julie. Okay, and I've got this picture in my office, and I look at it when I'm trying to figure out like when I'm creating products or creating service or things like that, I'm like, would Julie want this? Like, would this be something that would change her life? If I'm like, no, Julie would not, like, maybe Julie's sister might want it, but she's not going to want it, I'm not going to do it. One of my friends, Perry Belcher, I'm probably going to slaughter this story, but it was really cool when he told it to me. He used to work at a company. He actually invented, you guys ever used that Pomerel liquid hand stuff? So he invented that. He was trying to make these candles, the whole thing screwed up. They kept burning up and catching on fire, and they were going to throw this huge batch of stuff away, basically. And some guy's like, well, the cool thing about it is you can rinse your hands, and the alcohol kills the germs. And he was like, let's package this thing up. So he packaged it up, sold a whole bunch of them, ended up selling the company to some guys who ended up selling it to it was kind of a cool story. But he told me that when he was doing that product and some of his other products, that he would go into companies like Bed Bath & Beyond and things like that, and he would take these products and try to pitch it to them. And he was telling me the story. He said that I think it was Bed Bath & Beyond. He was there, and he was talking to like the executives and trying to pitch, like, here's the product, here's why it's awesome. And the people kept saying, well, I don't know if I can't remember the name. I don't know. Let's say Julie. I don't know if Julie would like that. And he's like, okay. And they show something else. I don't think Julie would like that. And finally, he's like, you know what? If Julie's a decision maker, can we bring her in here? Because I'd like to talk to Julie directly. And they're like, oh no, Julie's not a real person. Julie's our dream client. And we base all of our decisions off, would Julie want this or not? And he was like, oh, and had that like aha moment. And I was like, how cool is that? The big, huge corporations that are making billions and billions of dollars, they do the same process as well. And most of us aren't. Okay, so there was Julie. That was our first one. Next one, I want to do the same thing for a man. And it's funny, if you look at my coaching program right now, it's kind of funny, like with Julie, we signed up a lady the other day named Julie, and then she went through the training, and she messaged me, she said, Russell, she's like, my name's Julie. She's like, I'm successful here. She's like, anyway, she's like, you nailed it to a T. She's like, I am Julie. And I was like, and literally she was name was Julie. It was like so funny. Same thing with Mike. Like, we just got a guy named Mike in our inner circle who looks almost identical to Mike. It's crazy. Anyway, so same thing like when I was developing Mike, I said I wanted a former athlete because I love working with athletes. I want someone who's already had a chance to change and affect someone's life in a little way. They've helped a friend or a client or someone, and they're so passionate about the effect and the result they got for someone, they want to blow it up and take over the world. I wanted, again, same thing, someone that values growth over money and already has a business kind of running. And so we developed that, went to Google Images, and boom, Mike popped up. I said, that's my guy, and I grabbed the picture. And now now I know who my who is. I know exactly who those people are. Now that I know who they are, and it's very tangible, now I can figure out where to find them and everything else we're trying to, where to find them, what kind of bait is going to get them, and what kind of results I can get for them. So I want to make sure you guys think about that a little bit and are kind of focusing on it. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, if you guys go to your blueprint here, the first step here I have is result. And I want to talk about this for a little bit because I don't think, in fact, this is the first situation I've ever talked about this ever. It wasn't in the book, it wasn't in anything else because I'd never thought about it this way before. And over the last 2 or 3 months, there's been this trend of people who come into our coaching programs and things like that, where they come in and they have an idea, they've got something they want to do, but they've never actually gotten a result for someone before. And they want to start selling this concept, right? They read a book or they went to a seminar and all of a sudden they want to start teaching, they're fired up and they're passionate, they want to change the world, but they haven't ever gotten a result for someone before. And it's been interesting. I think over the last month, I would say probably 5 or 6 people, when they come in our program, I tell them this is the first step you got to do. And I wanted to kind of bring this back to you guys because I think it's the key. So what you need to do is and I'm curious, how many of you guys in your business you're in right now, do you have tangible results that you've gotten for somebody? Okay, about half of you guys, and half of you guys haven't. So I want to tell you a story. This is a guy named Drew Cannoli, and my wife said he's pretty much the best looking man on earth. I don't know about that, but anyway, so Drew is a really, really cool guy. He owns a company called Fit Life TV. They have like 1.5 million Facebook followers and a whole bunch of stuff, and big into juicing and all that kind of stuff. And so I had a chance to get to know him. I went to his website, I thought it was cool. I had a mutual friend, had him introduce me to him, and I was in San Diego one day, and so it's kind of cool. Like I called him up. I was like, hey, you don't really know me, but Carl taught, blah blah blah, introduced me. I'd love to come meet you. And he was like, all right. He's like, that's cool. Like, here's my address. Come meet me. So I jumped in an Uber, drove up to his place, and I showed up there. I started talking. I'm like, hey man, just seen your stuff online. Thought you were really cool. I was in San Diego. Wanted to meet you. And he looks at me and he says, it was so cool. He said, this is the weirdest thing. He said, 3 weeks ago, I bought .com Secrets Labs off Facebook. He's like, I was reading. I remember thinking in my head, how cool would it be to have Russell come and do all this stuff for our business? He said, and right now you're sitting in my living room. I don't know how you got here. You called me today, now you're sitting in my living room. He's like, this is the weirdest thing in the world, okay? And I was thinking, and like, Drew is like my customer, like my dream client, right? And I had a couple options. I could have been like, well, Drew, you should give me $100,000 and I'll help, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, you know what, like, I don't want to do it. He's got a bunch of stuff happening. It's really, really successful. And anyway, we kind of just talked about business a little bit. And then my family was in San Diego, so I spent a couple hours with him, jumped in my family, went to Legoland, and didn't see him again for a couple months. And then a few months later, I was just sitting there in bed trying to think, like, how can I get more of my dream clients in? How can I get more of the kind of people I want to be working with? And I had this idea pop in my head. I said, you know what? Like, Drew is like my dream client. Someone who's got a really successful business, bunch of stuff happening. They're having some struggles and can't quite get through the next level. And I said, I have an idea. So I called him up and said, hey, Drew, this is the deal. I would love to come out to your office. Typically, I charge people $25,000. I'll come in, I'll spend a whole day with you guys, and I'm not going to charge you anything. If I come, I'd love if I could videotape it. And if it helps you guys, I'd love for you guys to give me a video afterwards. And he was like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And so jumped in a plane, paid my own way, flew out to San Diego, got there in a conference room kind of like this. His whole team was there. And they spent about an hour giving me everything in their business, like the ups and the downs and all sorts of stuff. And they were in a spot, I didn't realize this at the time, they were in a spot where they were making over $1 million a year, but they were losing money every single month. Like, they were not profitable. They had been, but because Facebook had made some changes and things like that, they were struggling. And so we looked at everything, and I sat down and we built out a kind of a model and a blueprint what to do. It was funny because they didn't have a whiteboard for me, so I had markers, and we were drawing all over the windows in the place and had all this stuff. And literally came and just tried to serve him the best way that I could, and did as much as I could. And what was cool is that after we came and did the stuff for him, about a month later they rolled out the new funnels and new stuff, and they went and just blew it up. They went from being unprofitable to where they were netting like 20 to 30 grand a day consistently from day one. Boom, boom, just amazing like turnaround, which was really, really cool. And they let us videotape testimonials of him and his staff and all sorts of stuff, and it was awesome. And then I came back. And I took those videos, put them online, and we started driving Facebook ads to these videos of him talking about Russell came and just blew our minds, changed our world, and guess what happened? All of a sudden, all these people started seeing, it wasn't me saying, hey, I'm really good at being a business coach, you guys should come hire me. They started seeing Drew talk about, man, Russell changed my life. Boom, all these things. And he started sharing his results. We drove traffic to that, and overnight, thousands of, like, his face, like, produces applications for our coaching program like crazy. Like, tons of people started coming in because we gave him this result, okay? And so for you guys, what I want you to start thinking about, and we're gonna break for a second for you guys to do this, is I want you to think about, with whatever your business is or your product, your service, do you have someone that you have changed their life? Have you given them the result? You've taken them through this process at your highest level? And if not, I need you guys to work for free for someone. I need you to find 1 or 2 or 3 people, because this is going to fuel and drive everything else you do. The better success stories you have, the more you've changed someone's life, the better the more people you're going to attract because of that. Okay, so the first step is start thinking like of the people I have right now, who are the ones that I can serve the most, or if I don't have one, like who's someone I can volunteer my time, who can I go work for free? Okay, there's a kid that lives that goes to church with us, and he was like 16 or 17 years old, and he was trying to get a job last summer, and he went and applied like 20 different places, and every place was like, sorry, not hiring, and finally got so frustrated that he said, you know what? And he went down to the mall, and he walked into some, I don't know, I think it was the Buckle or something like that, and walked in and just said, hey, I want to see if I can work for free for you guys. And they're like, what are you talking about? He's like, I got nothing to do. Do you mind if I just fold clothes for you for a while? They're like, all right. So he started folding clothes and everything, just folding clothes like crazy, and did that one day. Next day came back, started folding clothes, and after 2 or 3 days working for free, these guys came and said, hey, do you mind if we give you a job? He's like, yeah, it'd be awesome. And boom, he got a job, like his dream job, right? And I think that's the key, you guys, is like, if you guys want to like slingshot your success, you've got to have some just amazing success stories. You've got to change people's lives. And if that means that initially you've got to go and volunteer your time, it's worth it. I promise you it's worth it. So there's Drew. This is a picture of Liz. And Liz is someone I didn't do it for free. She signed up for our $25,000 program, but we same thing, we gave her a result. And the other thing is a lot of times you've had results for people, and you can say, yeah, I helped so-and-so lose weight. I had so-and-so do this. But the problem is like you knowing that you have a result does not turn into money for you. Okay, so the second step is after you've gotten these results, you have to capture them in a way that's going to inspire people. Okay.
So I want to tell you something. Hiring Russell Brunson was bar none one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life. And I want to tell you that when you work with him, he takes you on this journey that you won't even know that you're going to go on. Like I at the very beginning, I had all these hopes and dreams and visions, and I honestly thought that, yay, I'm working with the overnight success maker, and like I thought, whoa, I'm gonna make like $500,000 in the first month of working with him. But you know what, the eventuality is that sometimes in life it doesn't always work out the exact way that you want it to work out, and that's certainly where it got to for me. So my 2014 was one of the hardest years I've ever had in my entire life. Like, there was cancer in the family. People were in hospital. I thought I was gonna, at one stage, I thought I was gonna lose my partner. Like, it just wasn't a pleasant scenario at all. And by losing my partner, I mean like hospitalization, like really not, like from really bad health issues. And there were just times when I promise you I wanted to give up. And sometimes I actually, when I say that, I don't just mean give up in business. Like for me, when I hired Russell, it really was like sounds really dramatic, but like my life's mission, it's so big. Like I really, really, really wanted to connect with someone who could get me to the next level, who could help me really get from that really stranded, grounded place, sitting at my office every single day, to a place where I'm, helping like people all around the world. And that's why I chose Russell. But man, it was hard. It was really, really, really hard at times to have to deal with those things that come up in your personal life all the time. Like, it was not an easy scenario in 2014, but I'm really, really, really grateful that I listened to Russell. I'm really grateful that I hired him as a coach. Like, the man has changed my life forever. Like, once you're, like, my mind has been blown completely, and there's no way back. Like, I know that anything is possible now.
So the reason why I showed up was not to kind of brag about anything. The reason is because I promise you guys that right now, most of you guys have stories like that of people's lives you've changed. And can I see them? Like, where are they at? You gotta capture them, because that's the goal. Giving someone the result and blowing their mind is one thing, but you've got to have some kind of proof element so you can then show people. Now, I was talking to Mike about this yesterday. He's like, well, that's cool, but I can't hire a huge film crew, all these kind of things. Ideally, yeah, you want to make them as good as possible. But I sat down with him yesterday and I said, watch, I can do one of these in about 30 seconds. It won't be quite as good as that, but it's going to be really, really close. It's funny because I've seen people who do have testimonial videos of their clients, and this is what they're typically like. Person's awkwardly standing here. Sometimes they got a little microphone. It looks horrible. Usually it's a really blown up screen, like really small in the middle, and the person's like So I went to Keith's class and it was really awesome, and I learned how to tap people out, and I'm definitely coming back again next week. And that's how like most people's testimonials are. Okay, it doesn't inspire anything, right? So I'm gonna show you guys really quick in about 30 seconds how to make a video on the low budget to make it super easy and super powerful. So a couple things that are important. So I did this with Mike last night. I did it just with my iPhone. So you can do iPhones, you can do iPads. A couple things that are key. First off is, I think the most powerful way is you've got to have some kind of interesting background. Like it shouldn't be against a white wall or something boring. Like go outside, find something. This one, they went outside and had kind of this nice trees and stuff like that. I like having people off-centered. For some reason it seems more sincere. It seems really, really cool. Second thing is that the person that's doing the testimonial should not be looking at the camera. Okay, if I'm filming this and looking at the camera, when there's a testimonial where someone's looking at the camera, it seems very insincere. I don't know why, but it just does. And so if I'm filming it, like when I filmed Mike yesterday, I had the camera, had my phone right here, and I said, Mike, look right here. And I had my eyes right next to the camera, and so he's looking away. Do you notice Liz wasn't looking at the camera? She was looking away like she was being interviewed by someone. So you hold the camera, have them look to the side of the camera, not at the camera. That's the next step. And then second, you've got to be a reporter. You've got to feed them the questions that you want, okay? The first time I learned this, we hired this guy named Jonathan Otto who does a whole bunch of really good videos, and we hired him for a week. He came out here for a week, he was doing stuff, and I found that like he wasn't amazing at capturing video, but he was amazing at asking questions. And I looked at the process he did, and that's what made these videos magic. And so for you, instead of like giving some microphone and say, give me a testimonial, they're like, hey, so it was really cool and I think I liked it. You've got to be the one like the Oprah Winfrey, right, where you're bringing this out. And so what I do typically is I start asking questions. I say, okay, before you got started with me, tell me what your life was like before you got started. And we're taking someone on a journey. So I want them to tell me, okay, you notice Liz, she talked about where she was at, talked about the journey she went through, and then where she's at right now, okay? Beginning, journey, and then the result. So you ask them, say, again, look at my eye right here when we talk. Okay, so when you got started with me, what was your life like before we got started? And they'll say, hey, this is what happened. And they'll start talking back to you directly, okay? And notice how much more sincere that sounds. Then you say the second question, second or third, like, now when you're going through that process, what were the struggles you went through? Like, what were the hurdles you had? And they can like, well, the biggest hurdles I had was I got stuck here, okay? That's awesome. Now, what was the reason why you got started with me? Well, I got started with you because of this and because of this, and these are the reasons why I thought I would work with you. Okay, now was it easy when you first got started? What was the process when you first got started? When I first got started, it was scary, it was hard, it was difficult. I didn't know what to do, but I decided to take that leap of faith and do it. Okay, cool. So after you did that and you started getting results, like, what's your life like now? Oh, my life's amazing. Like, it's changed me from this to this, and it's been the greatest thing in the world. Boom, okay? That's a testimonial now. That's magic, right? It's me feeding a couple questions to get their journey. Where did they begin at? What's the process they went through? And what's the result at the end? Okay? Now, afterwards, you gotta do some post-production. I don't know how to edit stuff. I've got Brandon who edits videos for me, a couple other people. I've heard, and my little kids do this, so I know it's possible. On their iPads, they like Movie Maker, I think. And the key is like, you don't want to have you asking the question, okay? And so one thing you coach this person through is that when I ask you like, what was the beginning of your journey? They can't say Detroit. Like they have to kind of like restate your question, right? So say, well, the beginning of the journey for me was whatever. So get them to restate the question, because next thing you do is you're going to cut out you asking the questions. You don't want your voice in there. You want them telling the story. And last step, add a music track, and boom, you've got gold that fast. Okay? So that's the way you guys capture these. So again, getting a testimonial, if you don't have any yet, you got to work for free. Second off, if you do have them, you got to capture those now because they become magic. And then third off, this is kind of the process on how you capture them. Okay, so what you guys do right now, I'm gonna give you a few minutes. I want you to sit down here and step number one on your blueprint. I want you to think about who is someone that you have, who you've already gotten a result for, that you know you could go and you could capture an amazing piece like this to give you proof elements of what you're talking about. Okay, so that's the first thing. If you don't have someone yet, then I want you to think about who are people potentially I could go and that I could work with, that I know that I could, if I was to go and work with them for free, maybe a day or a week or something, I could blow their mind and just change their entire life. Who is that? Who are those people? So I want you guys to write down kind of 3 people you can think of right now, and we'll give you guys a little ability to do that, and we'll take a little break here. Sound good?